This is a 1980 Gibson KZII. Let's throw this thing up on the bench. We got to restring it. I see we got a little paper in the nut right there. And it's strung up left-handed for some strange reason. But let's throw this thing on the bench. Let's get started on this one. Here we go. Alright, so Gibson guitar. All the controls are down here, and again, it's strung up left-handed, but it looks like original pickups in here. I believe the guitar is from 1980, and so a KZII. It's got the Gibson logo on there. Let me flip the guitar over. You know, double cutaway. Looks like solid mahogany all the way up. Got the older Gibson branded tuners on there. Serial number is stamped in here. But I'm going to guess it's maybe sort of like a Les Paul Special because it's flat and double cutaway. So anyhow, let's restring this thing up. Let's get it back to being a right-handed guitar. I'm sure it's a righty because you've got all your fret markers on the top here, and there aren't any down here. Oh, somebody put some in. Wow. Did somebody install them themselves? Yeah, I feel a little tiny bit of a recessed area. So somebody did put fret markers. Somebody was playing it. Some lefty guy was playing this thing. But in order for me to sell it out of this store, we're going back to right-handed. So here we go. This video is brought to you by Swiss Picks. It's not just a pick, it's a science. Available at ZIMM'S Guitars or at www.swisspicks.com. Okay, let's pull the strings off of this thing. So yeah, you always discover, the more you look at a guitar, the more of its little things you discover about it. And so they have fret markers. On the bottom side is proof somebody was playing it left-handed. But you gotta feel sorry for some of the lefties in this world because most guitar shops have a very small variety of lefties in their store. So those poor left-handed guys, they don't get much. They don't get much to look at when they are out guitar shopping. So the bridge piece and the tailpiece looks really kind of new. So I'm kind of thinking that for some reason, right off the top of my head, I'm kind of thinking that maybe these pieces were swapped out at one time. They look kind of new. Nothing on the bottom. I would have hoped that it would have said Gibson on the bottom. But this could be Tone Pro or something. It does have the wire that goes underneath there that holds all these saddles in place. And so there's always the argument, does it install this direction or does it install this direction? By the where the saddles are at, just by looking at it, I'm going to say it goes in this direction. That is normally where your G string is always kind of back, so kind of looks like it would set in at this direction. But it takes time. When you buy a used guitar, and you can set and play on it, right? But sometimes you got to throw it up on a bench and restring it to really, really get a good look at the guitar that you've purchased. Alright, so let's take the truss rod over. Let's take the truss rod cover off just to see what's underneath there. So a KZII on the truss rod cover, little tiny screws. So hopefully we will see a nut at the end of the truss rod here. And that is exactly what we're seeing right there. So if you take a Gibson truss rod tool, it's got the little screwdriver in the end. See, that fits on there just perfectly. Snug it tight a little bit. Truss rod works just fine. So that's telling me that it's a real Gibson. It's not some sort of a fake. Let's see, it looks like a 1, 2, 3-piece neck. And then it probably even has the wings attached on each side up here on the headstock. It's definitely solid mahogany. The body, I'm guessing, is 1-piece mahogany. Fret ends on this guitar feel nice. We're just going to clean on it a little bit. So let's put some F1 oil on here. And I'll find a paper towel. Okay, let that soak in a little while. Now you can see that our neck pickup is setting really low, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that up just a little bit. It would be fun to lift that. You know what? Since we're here, let's just lift this pickup out of here so we can actually identify the pickups. Now, what I've just noticed is that it has the adjustable pole pieces on the north side and the south side of the pickup. So adjustable pole pieces on both sides, so there's no slug. Some pickups are double slug. A lot of pickups have a slug on one side and adjustable on the second. This one is adjustable pickups on both sides of the pickup, which is really cool. I think maybe the Dirty Fingers are like that, I'm guessing. Leave me some comments, guys. Alright, we're going to lift this baby out of here and let's see what we got. Okay, we do have this steel braided wire. And, okay, let's get in here nice and tight so we can see what we're looking at. It says patent number 2737842. And I can feel the wax on there, so they have been potted. Patent number 2000, maybe not, 2737842. I'm going to look that up. Let's see what we find out. Okay, I'm looking at the Les Paul forum, and this says the infamous incorrect patent number 2737842 is stamped and pressed into the pickup base plate of the Gibson humbucking pickup starting around 1974 through the end of the 1980s. So they're real Gibson pickups. There are definitely real Gibson pickups. And another thing that you can tell, because it has the metal braided cable that goes on here. Okay, so I think it goes back in like that. Gibson pickups, double adjustable pole pieces on both pickups. Okay, so we read a little bit more about it, and this one was made in Kalamazoo back in the day. So I've got my ohm meter out. Let's see what happens here. Let's see. Okay, the bridge position 17.9. It's in the high 17s. 17.95. It jumps up to 18 once in a while. Very hot pickup. Let's go up to the bridge position and take a look at that. 16. These pickups are rock and roll machines. These are going to be kind of muddy if you're looking for a very clean sound. The trick when you're playing this guitar and you want to clean up your tone, you have to dial back on your volume. It's very simple. If your tone is super muddy, you just got to dial it back a little bit, and that's how you can clean these up. But these are very, very high wound pickups. Today's string choice. Today's string choice. Ernie Ball regular slinky 10 through 46 custom gauge nickel wound guitar strings made in the good old US of A. World's #1 electric guitar string. Let's throw some 10s on it. I usually put 10 gauge stuff on everything that's 24.5 scale length, right? You put 10s on it. If it's a Fender scale length, you can put 9s on it. Here we go. So I'll put these strings on it, and then we have to kind of take a look at the nut, because this guitar has had, it was strung up lefty. So there's a chance that the nut has been sort of reshaped, or the strings aren't going to fit in there really good anymore. But so far that little string fits in there really good. I think what might happen is the E string and where the B string was, those might be cut a little bit wide here on the nut. So might have to see how it plays. Here's our A string, and this is a 36 gauge. If you keep putting different string gauges on your guitar, a lot of times you have to have a nut that works perfectly for those string gauges. You can't just keep swapping string gauges around, especially if you put something really heavy. In a nut that has been cut really narrow. Or if you put a very light string in a nut, I can talk, that has been cut really wide. So that's what we might be looking at here. Okay, this tuner up here is a little wonky. It's a little bit bent. But somehow sometimes it's really hard to just bend your tuner straight, because they will just snap on you. Especially that's as old as this guitar. 1980, what does that make this thing? 44 years old. Is that right? 1980, yeah, 44-year-old guitar. This is the beauty of guitars, though. They last and last. Guitars last generations. You could almost say 44 years old is 2 generations now. That's why people steal guitars, because they last a long time and they hold their value. Okay, our G string seems good. The grooves on top of these saddles are not cut very deep whatsoever. So, but I'm not going to try to dig into that and try to change that. Okay, so it's a little bit of buzz right there on that B string. Again, because there was an A string. There was a 36 gauge A string setting in that nut. And now we're putting a little 13 gauge B string in there. So this guitar, most likely a good modification or a good upgrade would be to replace the nut, because it has had those big wide strings in there. Yeah, it needs a nut. Unfortunate, but it was pretty obvious. Brand new bone nut would be really a perfect upgrade to make this thing play great. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should figure something out to get a new nut in this guitar. Wonder if I have anything laying around. Let me look in my box of nuts. Yes, I just said that. Box of nuts.
Nuts?
Okay, so I'm loosening the strings. I went ahead and I had a brand new bone nut made for this guitar, and so I have to glue it in place now. So I'm just going to let it set right there, and I'm just going to put 2 little drops of wood glue underneath there. Okay, so I've got some on a toothpick, just a little bit to hold it in place. That's all you need. You definitely do not want to use super glue. It's a couple little dots of wood glue, and then just center it on there just perfectly. And just center it on there just perfectly. Get that little bit of glue residue out of there. And there you go. So this is going to be a major upgrade on this guitar. I thought I could just buy something like a tusk nut or something, but it's a way better idea to go ahead and have a new nut made for it if you can get one done. And I was able to do that. So that is done now. I'm going to put the strings back on it, and I think I can strum it for you guys a little bit. Here we go. All right, let me grab a pick here, throw it up on my knee, and let's strum it a little bit. It's got a nice neck on it, nice and thin. Let me plug it in. I got a little amp right here under my desk. Got a little amp right here under my bench. Test on these electronics a little bit. This guitar, again, it's from 1980. And this guitar is available as of right now. It's August of 2024. It's kind of funny to think that you guys have been watching me restring guitars since 2017. Little bit of static in the tone knob here. Let me move my camera this way a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, that could be sprayed out. Middle position, a lot louder. The electronics could be sprayed out a little bit, wouldn't hurt anything. Again, it's in really good condition. Kalamazoo, Michigan is where this guitar was made. And based on that, it's a good, there's a good chance that this guitar has never left the United States. Yeah, so there we have it, guys. Thanks for helping me restring this thing. Got a brand new bone nut on it. It's a nice guitar. It is a nice guitar. It does have a case with it. Okay. Spent a lot of time in this case. It's got an old strap with it. I put the old nut in here. Oh man, it got some big giant slide. Someone was playing slide guitar on it. There's a couple old Fender heavy picks in there. We're just going to leave all that right in there. There it is, guys. Thanks again for watching. Everybody have a great day. Go buy a guitar.